Let's to finish with our contact form showing the corresponding success message to the user once we got a success contact from them. Essentially, what we are going to do is this. Once we receive this, we are going to return a redirection with an element in the session saying that this is a success response. So if we receive that in our frontend, we are going to change the content of our form to essentially something different. Basically, we are going to remove all of this from our model and show a success message saying thank you or whatever that you prefer. And this is going to be pretty interesting because sharing information in the session between the backend and the frontend is something that Inertia is going to allow us, but requires a little bit of configuration. So let's just see how to do that. Essentially, the first step is to go to our contact controller that we have here. Let's to remove this, by the way. And there, after returning the redirection, we are going to say that it's going to be with an element in the session we are going to call contacted. And contacted is going to be true. So if this is true, in our frontend, we are going to change the content of all of that. So how can we access that information? Let's do assume that we are getting that as a property. So, well, we can get a property called flash from our frontend and get access to this specific element that we are flashing. This is essentially using the session flash. This is going to remove after the first request, so we can use it there. So let's go to our welcome.view page, and there we are going to add a condition. Essentially, in the top of this, we are going to have a div, which is going to be visible depending on if it is true or not. If it is true, what? Essentially, what we are getting from the session. How can we access the session? Well, we can just check the page property, and there we are going to access to the flash. And that is going to be possible through the properties of the page. In the same way as we access, for example, the authenticated user, we can get access to, well, the flash data, and there is a contacted information. If it is true, so we are going to show something here. But if it is not the case, well, we are going to show the other form. So we are going to have here a be else, and of course inside this we are going to have our entire form. So let's put this inside. Here it is. And now let's modify a little what we are going to show here. So we are going to have a paragraph which is going to have a thumbs up. Let's use this thumbs up. You can copy and paste that from any other web page, or if you are a Windows, you can press window dot and you are going to select the corresponding icons that you prefer. In this case, it's just a thumb up. And then we are going to have another paragraph saying thanks, and a final one saying I will get back to you soon. Perfectly functional. So let's now to add the styles for this. Essentially, we are going to change the color of the background. Instead of gray, we are going to use green. In fact, this should be here. Let me to remove this. We are going to keep it simple, actually. So let's move this inside corresponding with the indentation. I'm going to put this here. I'm just going to copy the classes. Here it is. And that means that we don't need the other div. So let's keep the simple with the indentation. We don't need this. Once again, we only have two different divs. There is not confusion at all. We are just trying to change here. This is going to be with the gray, or essentially the background that we define, whatever that you preferred here. And then we are going to change this for a green background. So this is going to be almost white. It's a pretty light gray. And here we are going to use another one saying this is going to be background green of 400. And by the way, we're going to have the same, the shadow of 2XL, a padding of 8, the text in the center, and finally the font bold for all of the paragraphs that we are going to have inside. Let's put this in different lines to make this a little bit organized. Here it is. And now let's put these styles. So we have class for all of those. Perfect. And then for the first one, this is going to be pretty big. So we have text 8XL. We're going to have a margin of 5. And here we are going to have basically the same, but not that bigger. So text 5XL. We are going to use font bold to be completely sure. Margin of 2. And finally, we have I will be get back to you soon with a text XL. Not that bigger as the other ones. And a margin of 2. Perfect. So let's try to see what's going to happen. Essentially, once again, we are sending that information. in the session here, basically we are flashing that the contacted is true. So we are trying to verify if we receive that after the redirection, this is gonna be true, and we are going to show this specific part of our model. Otherwise, we are going to show the original one. So let's go back here, refresh. Everything is okay. Let's chat. And it looks like something happened. Let's see what's going on. So let's open our console, and here it is. It looks like it's saying cannot read property of undefined contacted. Oh, what's happening here? What's the problem? It looks like, well, Flash is not defined at all. And well, this is essentially true, because in the way as inertia works, we need to say to inertia how to resolve the flash information. Essentially, this property, this could be something different, DDD or whatever that you prefer, and how to get the contacted value from. Essentially, we are going to teach to inertia in a way to say, hey, the contacted element inside the flash property is going to be equal to something that is called contacted in the actual session of Laravel. So that means that we need to configure that in our backend. And how can we do that? Well, results that in the middleware, in fact, we have something called handle inertia request. And there we have something called share. Essentially, this middleware is executed every time, and we are sharing the information that we need here. So we are going to share a property called flash. Remember, it could be anything else, but pretty consistently we are going to use flash. And flash is going to be an array. Could be several elements, but this time it's going to be only one. You might be guessing good. This is going to be contacted. And contacted is going to be equals to what we actually got from our request session. So this is going to be a function, let's say a closure basically, and this is going to return the content of the request that we have here going to the session, and we are going to get the value of contacted. That's all. So once again, we are teaching somehow to inertia how to resolve the value of contacted inside of a flash property that we have here. So if we go back and refresh, and we click here on let's chat, there is no error anymore, so we can close. And let's verify what's going to happen. Test.com and something else here, and get in touch. And here it is. Thanks, I will get back to you soon. Perfectly functional, and we can close this. Perfect. And when the user clicks here again, we are showing essentially the same every time, because this is the same request, unless the user refresh, of course, and try to get in touch again. So we are going to thank him again, or her, of course. Once again, let's try it again. We have something different here, get in touch, and thanks. And let's finish with a specific detail, just to be sure for the user. Once the user gets in touch, this should not say let's chat, or get in touch, or no more. Essentially, this should say something like thanks or thank you. So let's change that once again based on the value of the session. So let's go back to our welcome.view, and every one of those buttons we are going to change the contents depending of the value that we have from the flash session. So for example, in the case of no more, we are going to have a computed property here coming from a condition saying if the page properties going directly to the flash and in the contacted is true, so we are going to say a question mark here, contacted, of course. If it is true, it means we got contacted. We are going to show thanks. Otherwise, we are going to show the original message, which is no more. Of course, we need to put this between quotations. Once it is done, we can do basically the same with the other button. So let's go to the other one for skills. Instead of get in touch, we are going to show that. So let me copy this, get in touch, and let's do basically the same with the other button that we have in the top of the header. So let's chat is going to become thanks depending of that specific value. Let's paste it here and here. So if everything is okay, let's be sure to escape this specific quote, and going back we can refresh so the user can contact us once again. No more. Let's issue some specific email here, some specific message, just testing, get in touch, and here it is. Thanks, I will get back to you soon. And here it is. Thanks, thanks, and thanks. Perfectly functional. Once again, we can try it again. But if we refresh, we can get in touch with the user using anything that we need. Perfectly functional. We already got this working, and we are done to go and practice and go beyond during the following section. During the following section, we are going to see how to create our own admin panel where we can add or basically manage the skills and the projects for our current portfolio. So let's see how to do that in the following class. See you there.